What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Pat Cave. Got another update for you today on my Lost Boys Marko Jacket. I actually started constructing this last week, and I think I've put quite a few hours in so far, and a lot of it's been looking at the reference photos and trying to match all of the tapestries exactly to where they're supposed to be. And I don't know if I've already said this, but I'm kind of doing like my own version of the jacket, so I'm using photos for reference from the prop store jacket, which was like the main one that you can see in the video footage of that. And then I'm also doing a couple little things from the screen use jacket as well. So in the footage though, you'll kind of hear a little bit about that. I shot some video while I was doing different things in the different steps. So go ahead and stick around and we're going to dive into that right after this. What's up, guys? Welcome back for another episode. This week we're doing the Lost Boys Marko Jacket first update on the DIY project. So I started working on this last week. I think last Thursday it was. It was either Friday or Saturday or Thursday, one of those days. But basically I started cutting out all the tapestries, all the pieces, and I kind of started with the leopard and the lady, chariot lady up on the top shoulder here. And I've sort of been working my way from the right side around to the back and then to the left arm I'm going to do last. I've got some video footage that I shot of that process and the kind of things that I've been doing. One of them, I realized a little too late that my audio wasn't working at one point, so there's some video footage. So I'll go ahead and overlay that here. And basically what this video is, I'm using the Pennywise has on page 41 of the RPF. He's got the layout of each tapestry along with the cut lines. And I sort of use those as a basis for mine. So you basically take the 1/4 inch painter's tape and kind of mask off the areas. As I say in one of my videos here, it kind of can pull up some of the fibers. If you're OCD about it or you want your jacket to look pristine, you might not want to use that. Maybe you could do something else, but it's not noticeable enough for me to worry about it. And besides, the jacket's supposed to look really beat up and kind of lived in, so I didn't think that was like an issue. I started with, the leopard, or no, I started with the peacock, I think, or the leopard. Maybe it was the leopard first. I kind of worked my way through cutting each of those pieces out, and I did the lady, and that one, was super rare. I didn't want to mess it up, so I had to be pretty careful because I only had one shot at cutting that out. And then that also has the piece that goes along the collar. And I'm going to go ahead and show you some footage from that of how I did it. At the end of this, I'll put in a little video on how exactly I did my stitching for it. I'm using like a combination of the machine and the hand sewing. Most of it's all by hand, but you can sew things with the machine to reinforce some of the seams like along the edges of the jacket where they're easier to reach or run through a sewing machine. The jacket gets so weighed down by the tapestries and all the layers that it doesn't want to fit underneath there unless you have, I guess, like a different machine than me that maybe does do that kind of thing. But mostly I'm just doing it by hand. So I'll show you how I'm doing it. At the end here, I'll put some clips in there for you. Okay, I'm just doing this recording on my phone just because I don't have to get my camera and my mic out and everything. This is a quick update. I've been working on the leopard and the front lady here. This one I did like Alex's jacket he used in the movie, as opposed to the one that I'm using the reference photos from the other jacket, which was Sean Clark's, I think. But this one I did more like Marko's, like in the movie, just because it's placed a little bit to the left more so the hair is closer to the edge here. The other one in the photos, she's more over to the right. And I even did this little speck down here, which was from one of the little, I can't remember what kind of creature it was on the side, but just like on the prop one. And got her sewn on. I used a machine a little bit up here and then did it by hand. And then under here I secured all this with stitches, and I left plenty of extra to fray, and then I left a lot to fray here. It's already starting to go just from me handling it so much. And then I put in stitches all over here for the leopard just to try to hide them. And this is like the inside, so you can kind of see some of them there. But I'm trying to figure out now The placement of this one on the side, and it hangs down quite a bit. It's gonna be probably something like this. And my reference for that was a picture I will post too. And then right now I'm going to cut the back piece from one of the Matador tapestries to figure out the placement for the other piece that connects to this. So stay tuned. Well, right now I'm cutting out some more pieces. I just did a piece of the Matador's cape, and you always want to cut them bigger just so that there's plenty of room to do the fraying around the edges. And once they're on the jacket too, you can always cut around to perfect them a little bit more. And this tape is great and all, but it does pull out some of the fibers when you remove it a lot of times. So if you're a perfectionist or you don't want to risk that, you might want to figure out some other way to do it. The jacket's supposed to look really worn and beat up, so that doesn't really bother me too much, just because I'm trying to go for maximum fraying and damage. Yeah, just something to keep in mind. The wake of destruction. Thank God my wife's out of town today because it is pretty messy in here.
What do you mean?
Guys, I'm eating junk and watching rubbish. You better come out and stop me.
This whole table is covered, and this is where we're at so far. So I've got the front lady sewn on, I've got the leopard attached here, the rear leopard is on there, and I've got this middle piece, and also got the front Matador sewn on. And this was a combination of machine, which I used the Singer heavy duty. I did a stitch along this edge here, and then one along the bottom, just for added support. And then the peacock's going to cover up a lot of this, so you wouldn't even see the line there. You can probably see it going across. But the rest I did by hand and sewed stitches along the top here, and then along the side, and then down here. And I took a really long time to cut this piece out using the screenshots I showed earlier, just to make sure it was, perfectly aligned. And then I left a little bit extra here just so it could fray it out a bit. And the leopard, I left a ton of extra material hanging here just because, as you can see, that's slowly fraying. I'm sure by the time I'm done with this, it's going to be like completely just like going. And I might try and fray the bottom a little bit, but I'm going to save that probably for last just because it's not really a priority right now. And this is the collar. I think I showed how to do that in my video. I might not have though. Basically, if you wanted to do the same thing to the other side, you're not supposed to cut the stitches typically, but I basically cut off the ends of basically like along this seam here, all the way to the corner. And then I threw it in the washer, at the same time I did the bottom here and stuff. And then that did the trick and frayed it quite nice, I think. Actually, that's exactly what I was trying to do. So that was kind of good. And then you can see I stitched here along the bottom too. These were kind of bigger stitches. A lot of the places on the inside I did smaller ones. And I think mainly I might go back and do a few more here before. But the patches are going to cover all this up. The 13 goes right here and blocks all this, and then the motorcycle patch will go up here. All the other patches go down the side here, all the way to the bottom where the Viking's at, which will cover this corner. And then we'll have, the outlaw patch and the flaming skull, and then hopefully the back off patch if I can find it. But that's where we're at for day 2, and stay tuned for day 3. What's up, guys? Another update for you. I think you guys might have saw this already in my other video. I had attached that back piece. Today, I was working on doing the back panel here which is the house. This is in the peacock, that mansion that's in the background. And I didn't realize this, but this piece is the stunt version. So it's actually oriented different. So here's the one that I have. And you can see that this tree here, that tree there on mine, is over here. Main bulk of the house is going the other direction as opposed to mine, which is facing down. And this is, the video I've been using for reference in the photos of this jacket specifically. So that was kind of interesting to find out because the front of it's done differently than the other stunt jacket, the one that has the blood all over it that was up for auction. So basically, I mean, as far as because this jacket's basically all the different things that I liked about the various ones used in the film or for production, and I was using that one, all those high quality photos for mine, but this piece was used. But this piece here, they used a few different versions of it. They used this version and the mirrored version. I have this one, so I'm just going to use this one. It's not really something that's going to bother me, merely for the fact that on the screen use jacket too, you can't even tell which way this piece is going, that I know of anyways. I haven't seen, I looked through clips of the movie and screenshots. I didn't see any clear view of this. Assuming this is the one he's got on his jacket in the movie, or the other way, I guess it doesn't really matter, but this is going to go right here. And I left a little extra for the frame, so I've got to get that attached. And then I also have cut up the Contrado Clio pieces. And I'm not going to use these. I want to get the real one eventually. And I did the collar here. And those are mainly just for sizing, to get the sizing right on the jacket here and the placement of all the tapestries. So I will get another video shot here as soon as I've got more to show. And I'll catch you guys later. Alright, quick update. It is about 3 or 4 hours later. I've been working on the placement of the Clio tapestry and this piece in the collar. And I guess on the original tapestry, it looks like, according to this picture, it has an edge that's folded over, as you can see, kind of going back and covering that white bit. Obviously, this print doesn't have that, so this space up here is a little bit empty, and the collar would still need to come down a bit to about right there. And I left this piece extra long just so later I can go ahead and attach it. As you can see, it's kind of hanging, and it has like the blue right here from the top. And I got the peacock piece sewn on. I sewed the rest of this on. And I like to leave these kind of loose so they're not super attached, just so they can fray naturally and it doesn't look factory made, just kind of like the movie. It's just sort of falling apart. And I'm going to work next on this arm, and then I'm going to attach the Matador tapestry on the shoulder here, or see how to attach that. I think that goes on last, so I might start working on the arm before that, but I wanted to cut that piece out so I know the size. And yeah, that's where we're at so far. This piece is tricky, I guess would be the right word for it. Trying to figure out how to place this, and I think I've got it figured out mostly. I just need to get it sewn on now. That's my next project. And thankfully it looks like it doesn't really get sewn over anything else, so I can probably just attach it right now. And then this kind of folds over to the front here. And that piece gets frayed really bad and kind of cut off on the sides here along the top. And there's the piece that goes up on top up here, which is right here. And that's going to go and cover up this seam line right there. And I'll have to trim this piece too to kind of fit well, but that's going to go up on top right there. And then I'll have to fray that. All right, it is now 12:45 in the morning, and I'm calling it a night. I've got on this back piece finally, the other Matador, and man, that was a pain. Probably the hardest part that I've done so far, just because there's no easy way to do it. You just kind of have to hope that you get the stitches in right, and then this piece is going into the arm, so that's hard to do. The other part on the sleeve here, I just pinned these on just to get an idea of how I'm going to do that part. I haven't really started on the arm yet, aside from this Matador, which is attached, and these two pieces need work still. They're just positioned, but I have to do the frame and kind of rough them up a little bit. This piece is just for, visual. It's not attached yet. That's probably going to be at the end once I find the Clio tapestry if I can. And we've got the bull on there. Going to have to try and figure out placement for him. And got the sleeve and a little extra down here at the bottom where that skull's going to go. Skull and crossbones. And yeah, this isn't pinned. This is just kind of sitting on there. So I'm gonna probably call it for the weekend. My wife's been out of town at a concert with a friend of ours, so I've had ample time to work on this. I'll probably try and figure out, the arm there while I'm waiting for this other peacock to come in to do this piece here. I think a lot of the other parts I can't really do much. I need the tapestry for the back here. Hope you guys like this. I'm gonna actually film a video of how to do the actual sewing probably tomorrow morning. It's kind of dark in here now, otherwise I'd do it now. For people that are newbies at sewing who don't know what they're doing, I just got this machine actually to help me with this whole thing, and I've used it a couple times, and it works fine. The only thing is it's hard to fit this jacket in there with all the tapestries attached and stuff to get it the right angle, so it's more practical to just do it by hand. And I have a feeling that's probably how they did the original, just because that's how his coat looks. It's kind of wavy and there's all sorts of imperfections, and that's kind of the cool thing about it and the fun part about this actually is that you can screw things up or mess it up, and it doesn't really affect it too much, because unless you do something really bad, it's not going to be that noticeable to yourself or anyone else. I made a couple mistakes here or there, but they're not easy to see just because there's so many imperfections just in the design itself. So anyways, I'll try and get another video up once I start getting going on the other peacock and then start getting the arms going. So I'll catch you guys later. Okay, so quick little sewing tutorial, and my friend Jenny showed me this, how she was doing hers, and I kind of just used the same methods. Okay, so here we are. So if you're going to start sewing your tapestries on by hand, you're going to need a needle, you're going to need some thread. I'm using upholstery thread, and this stuff's super strong. If you try and break it with your hands, it can probably even hurt your hands. And that's what you're going to need to probably sew on the tapestries themselves. You could probably use something a little less strong for the rest of the stuff. Maybe some heavy duty thread is thinner than this but still strong, or you can just use regular sewing thread for maybe like the ladies or stuff like that. But so we've got those two. You're going to need some scissors obviously to cut it, and what I do is start by pulling a piece of thread like so. You're going to need it decently long, not super long though, because if it gets too long it gets tangled easy if you're trying to do it by hand, and that can get annoying. And you're going to have your one end here. This is for tying the knot, the easiest way that I've found to do it. This was off a YouTube video I saw online. I don't know why, but I'm like challenged when it comes to tying knots in string, and it just was not working out. And this was the only way that I could find that worked for me. And I use it every time now, and it works basically every time. So you're going to start by threading your needle like so, and then you're going to pull that through so it's even on both sides. So you're going to have the two ends. You're going to want those to be pretty, matched up, so you can just kind of get them lined up together. And I'm not an expert by any means on sewing, any of this stuff. This is just how I'm doing it. And hopefully it's helpful to people if you don't know anything about sewing like myself. And so you got the two ends on this side. You're gonna make a U shape so the strings are hanging, the needle's pointing up. And then you're gonna fold it around so it's pointing down and grab it with your thumb. You're gonna want that like right across. I hope this is in focus. It's hard to tell from watching, but you basically put it across the needle and grab it with your thumb, hold it, and then you're going to wrap it around the string a few times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 should be good. You're going to grab that with your fingers and your nail so the loop's kind of hanging to the side, and then you just pull it straight down, and then that's going to create a knot on the end. So now you've got a nice knot at the end of it, and you're ready to go. I usually trim off the excess on the string here just because it can also get confusing if you see strings sticking out everywhere when you're sewing. So chop those off and make sure your knot's nice and tight. And yeah, that's the best way I found to make a knot. You could try and just tie one with your fingers. I don't know why, but that didn't work for me at all. So this is the way I do it. But so we've got our string, we've got our knot, our needle, and you're going to take your jacket. I'm just going to show you part that I've already done just because, well, actually maybe I won't. So we've got the peacock piece on here. And I did a stitch by machine across here and down the side, but you know, I always like to make sure that it's going to be nice and durable. So in this case, you're going to want to start, this is just for instructional purposes. This is pretty, you know, sewn on here already, but you're going to want to start from the bottom and then push up through the fabric. And the best way to do it on his jacket is you're going to want to hide all these, you know, threads, because you don't want them going across the color and making it obvious. So you're going to stick it through on this side and then just pull it through like so, and then you'll have the knot on the back here. And then you're just going to put it back through. And this, you know, would be useful too, like if you're doing it, if you don't have a machine, you're doing it all by hand, it'd be good too to connect the tapestries together, although they can get harder to do. So you're going to have to push pretty hard. I mean, I want to use a thimble, and then yeah, there's my string. And then you're going to just go back through again. And always check, like see right there, it came out on like where the white's at. You don't want that. So you're going to want to take it out, put it back in, and try and aim it so it's going out the right spot. So no, wrong again. And it's the red now, of course. So there we go. Got some of the black. So we're going to put it through there. And same thing, just back in this way. And these layers get pretty thick, so make sure you're using a strong needle. And then pull that through. It's nice and tight. And to tie it off, you're just going to put the needle, so you're going to go under the stitch, pull it up, keep this little loop with your fingers so you can put the needle back through. And then you grab it, and then you're going to grab that, pull it through, and then it'll make a nice knot. And you can probably do it one more time just for extra strength. You know, so you've got the loop there, go under the thread, back through the loop, and then just pull it tight. And it makes a nice knot. And then you just cut it off after that with a pair of scissors. And then you're set. And that's about it for today. So if you guys liked my video, this is the first update of a few, I'm sure. Go ahead and give me a like and subscribe, and then we will catch you next week.